explain how to teach use to structure in a class of intermediate students. So you can apply it in a 40-minute class. Also, it is important that you know that my lesson is based on the TTT approach, which means task, teach, task. So let's start. Okay, so before to explain how you are going to conduct the lesson, I'm going to mention some important points. And I think that it's important that you have a clear idea of the topic, the aim, and the objective. So the topic, as I said before, is used to a structure to talk about past habits, which means an action that you did in the past for a period of time, but you don't do in the present anymore. The aim is allow students to talk about how they were 10 years ago using the used to structure. And the objective is similar. It is use the used to structure correctly. So now I'm going to explain step by step. Also, remember something. For this lesson, you need to ask the students to bring some photographs of them from 10 years ago, because they have to use them in this lesson. So now I'm going to explain. The lesson is divided into 4 stages: warm up, task, teach, task. So I'm going to explain the first, that is the warm up. For the warm up, as I said before, you need some photographs. You need to bring to the class a photograph of you from 10 years ago. Now I'm 22, so in this photograph I was 12 years old. Yeah, why it's important to bring the photograph? Because in order to start the class, you are going to show the students the photograph, and in this way you are going to elicit some questions from them. You have to ask them like some questions, like for example, was I thin, or did I have short hair? So the students have to find similarities and differences according to your physical appearance, for example. Okay, for the second stage, that is task, you are going to divide the class in groups of 3. Then you have to ask the students to take out their photographs from 10 years ago, because during this stage the students have to discuss about how they were different 10 years ago. And for this part, you can provide the students some questions. In this case, 4 questions. For example, what did you look like? Or what was different about your life? Or did you have different likes and dislikes? Are you very different now? So these questions can help the students to discuss. And also, during this part, the students have to write a summary using their notes with the answers of these questions. At the end of this stage, the students have to pass to the front and report their summary. And also, for this part, you have to ask the students to listen carefully, because they have to answer a question. They have to say who was most different 10 years ago. For the teach stage, you are going to paste your photograph on the board. Then you have to tell the students how you were different 10 years ago. For this part, you are going to do the same activity that you asked the students to do in the task stage, and you can write a short paragraph of 5 to 6 sentences, because then you are going to use 2 sentences in order to explain the use to a structure. So, for example, you can say, when I was a child, I used to live in Riobamba. Also, I used to play with my cousin, or I didn't used to play basketball. And then you have to write these sentences on the board. You need an affirmative sentence and a negative one, because you're going to explain the structure. And for this part, you can ask the students, for example, what do you think is similar in these two sentences? And because the objective is that they can realize that used to is present in both. And in order to explain the structure, you can write on the board. For example, I is the subject, used to, live is the verb in the base form, and in Riobamba is the complement. And for the negative one, you can also write the structure. For example, subject, did, plus not, and use, but in this case it's in the present, and also the main verb in the base form and the complement. In this way, the students can realize the difference, but also I consider that it is important to mention that used to in Spanish means solía, because the students can understand the meaning of the sentence in a better way. After that, in order that the students can practice the grammar, you can ask them to write some sentences. For example, you can ask them to write 2 negative and 2 positive sentences. And for the last stage, that is task, you are going to ask the students to rewrite the summary that they did at the beginning of the class. In this way, you can realize if they learned the grammar structure. And I think it's all for this tutorial. My name is Daniela Núñez. I'm 22 years old. I'm from Ecuador. I live in Ambato. I study in the Technical University of Ambato, and I will be an English teacher. I consider that tutorial classes are very useful for everybody, because if you don't have time to go to the school, or if you don't have money to pay a professor, you can only search on the internet a video about the topic that you want to know, and then it is easy to do anything. So the most difficult part when I was explaining the grammar was when I had to make the students realize what is the structure for the positive and for the negative sentences, because I think that there are some students who catch the information quickly, but for others it is most difficult, and you have to provide some examples. I consider that I should improve in the grammar explanation, because for me it is very difficult to make that students can understand me, and I think that I have to learn some strategies in order to make the explanation clear. Also, the material that I used were the photograph of me from 10 years ago, the marker, and the board. the photograph was important because I was thinking about the learning, the different learning styles, and I consider that if you use a photograph, you can help the students that who are visual in the way that they can have any idea about the topic. The board and the marker also are helpful for a teacher because in this way you can write some examples about the grammar structure, and also you can ask the students to pass to the front and write some sentences, and which is helpful because you can realize if they understand or not. So thank you. I think it is all.